Hi everyone, welcome back to the Nerd Impact podcast. We're on episode 52, and it's another good one for us today, especially for me and Ben. Nath isn't joining us as he's not too inclined with this band, but we're doing a day to remember. Is it Ocala band, Florida? However you pronounce it, Ocala. Yeah, we're doing a day to remember the pop punk metalcore band who have been around since like 2005 and are still kicking and going. If that's a good thing, we'll get onto that. But yeah, we'll get into it. So yeah, this is obviously a huge one for both me and Ben. Discovered them around about the same time, and then went on completely different paths on how they impacted us. So Ben, do you want to dive in first? How you discovered them?
Yeah, so but once again, it's another band that initially I found on Kerrang and Scuzz. Um, God sends those channels were back in the day. Unfortunately, I don't think either of them exist. Scuzz definitely not. But
Krang, I think might be Krang Radio still.
yeah, but it's nothing like
No,
actual Kerrang TV. Um, but yeah, so I've right back at it again. Classic, always on. And I think that's really where it sparked my interest. Then there was a couple people that I know from school who were familiar with the band at least somewhat, and gave some recommendations. But I think the moment where I really decided I was going to get into Data Remember was we'd had a new kid who joined us in year 10, um, and he was did music as well, and he was a lad with long hair, obvious emo scene kid. Great lad. But he was going to be singing, so we were like hyped because we had a band. So it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get a male singer and we can do all the sort of songs we like. And he sang right back at A again, and it it weren't great, but the song was great. I enjoyed the song, and he chatted to me about the day to remember and gave me a couple more to listen to, and yeah, and really decided to dive head first. And as soon as obviously we went and saw them, was it Reading
Leeds,
20 Leeds
Leeds.
Leeds
Yeah.
2013?
Yep.
Um, that's probably one of my favourite live
Oh
performances to date.
no, you
Oh, it
might be
was
wrong.
Reading.
No, it is Reading. It is
It
Reading.
was
My bad.
Reading. Yes, I
Yeah,
know.
it's
I
Reading.
know. Yeah, it was Reading 2014. And yeah, fucking loved the performance. Incredible, especially when he got into the little ball and was running across the stage, and the t-shirt
Uh,
cannon I missed by a hair over
I
our
think I have
heads.
a picture of Jeremy in the big like ball, human
Zorb, is it?
wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
I know, I've seen it. You
Yeah.
definitely
So
have.
for me, it's how we got into him. So I knew a few before I really got into him. Oh God, what is it? The Kelly Clarkson cover was quite
Oh, yeah.
a famous one. Um, Downfall of Us All, and then All I Want. They were the ones I kind of knew. The All I Want video obviously had like quite a lot of famous pop punkers and metalcore singers in the video as well, like Winston from Parkway Drive and Pete from Fallout Boy. So I was like, "Oh, that's a cool video. I want to listen to the song." And also I remember that was where my love for checkered shirts may have came from. So yeah, that was my kind of first dip into a data. Remember, I didn't really do anything with it until I came back from America in 2013. Yes, I was exposed to a lot of pop punk bands whilst I was out there. That's kind of where my love for them really started happening. And then I came back and we went to Leeds, and then not long afterwards they announced the Reading lineup, and obviously Day to Remember on there, and we're like, okay, cool. I know a few of those. They're a pop punk band. I might as well get into them. So I downloaded Common Courtesy as the first album to go for because it was their latest one. So I was like, they'll obviously tour with that album, and fell in love with it. And then obviously the rest is history from there. But yeah, like there's God, there's so much we could talk about in this episode. A Day to Remember has various meanings to us, and lots of songs have various stories behind them. So I think if we go album by album, and then whenever a particular song comes up that you want to have a story about, both myself and Ben, we'll dive into a bit more. So the first one is in the 2005 release, or if you discovered it 3 years later, it's called something else and it's remixed and remastered basically. But it's and the name was Treason slash old record, even though it's only 3 years after they released it, but whatever. Um, it's okay. It's dated
Oh,
now.
I think.
No, it's good. It's dated, but and there's some core songs on there that absolutely kill it. I mean, the two that I really listen to a lot and are still on repeat is "You Had Me at Hello" if I'm feeling a bit soppy, emotional, and obviously your classic 1958, which shows how like straight away this band is got some guts and can go heavy when they want to.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, definitely agree with 1958, but I
yeah.
think you personally, Heartless, and then You Should Have Killed Me When You Had the Chance.
Well, that
Is
leads us on to next album for those who have heart, where they basically re-released them, and they sound better. Like the
so true.
vocals are slightly better, cleaner. Obviously, the mixing sounds a lot better. And to be fair, I slept on this album for a long time when I started listening to A Day to Remember. I had it downloaded, but I just never listened to it. And then I remember when I was working at my job at the school, I stayed after my hours to get some uni work done. And I just popped this album on, and yeah, it's heavy as fuck. It's like it's really good. There's some absolute bangers in it. Speak of the Devil's great. Um, the danger in starting a fire. Obviously, the plot to bomb the Panhandle is like one of my favorite songs. It's
Yeah.
a perfect gym song. They played it at Reading, and it ripped hard. Like everyone was like proper waiting for the drop and stuff. It was great. Um, Another personal favorite that I don't listen to much because it's quite a unique song is "The Price We Pay," which I know you
Yep,
love as well.
absolutely.
Um,
I mean, I'll be
Colder
honest,
than my yeah,
I
go
I
on.
do like a lot of their slower stuff,
Oh,
and
100%.
I mean, I was thinking about it the other day, their perfect target demographic is, like, 17 to 19, because a lot of these songs are about being lost in life and, like, it's angsty as fuck, but it's, like, adult angst, but, like, early
Yeah.
adult angst.
Again, we'll come on to how that's changed over later albums, but you are right.
Yeah,
Like their earlier stuff was very was your typical pop punky stuff of feelings and angst and life sucks and people suck, and it carries on throughout most of their albums. But just to wrap off for those who have heart, Colder Than My Heart, if you can imagine, is also one of my favorites. That only grew on me this time last year, actually. Weirdly enough, I just started re-listening to it, and it's a great one. And yeah, and then you said you should have killed me when you had the chance and stuff. So yeah, it's a good album. But obviously, then we move into where it really took off for A Day to Remember, where they kind of found their mainstream quote unquote popularity. Is their probably a lot of people's favorite album is their 2009 Homesick. And I do have Homesick tattoo on my arm. It's half complete. I need the Green Power Rangers going to be on half of it. So, um, and it's not even my favorite album, but unfortunately, Ben has my favorite album on his arm, so I couldn't copy him.
wow, that I mean, we'll get onto that, but that's not actually an album.
It is.
It was the backdrop of their.
No, it's their original album cover, and they had to change it.
Okay, I was okay,
Yeah.
so I wasn't aware of that.
No,
But,
yeah. But anyway, yeah. So Homesick. The downfall of us all is literally ingrained in my memory as I think it was an opener for Reading, and obviously you have the da 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 da, and everyone was like clapping and doing it, and then obviously it drops into it, proper festival song, like
yeah,
absolutely
ground
ingrained in my
shaking.
brain. Yeah, like that song in itself is ingrained in my head just from Reading. And they played it since we've seen them because we've been lucky to see them
Yeah.
twice, and second time was like an amazing lineup. It was a Moose Blood?
It was
Yeah,
Moose
Moose
Blood,
Blood,
Newfound
Newfound
Glory,
Glory, Neck
Neck
Deep,
Deep.
and A Day to Remember. All bands we are very into, so we had a very good time. It was basically a mini festival, which was,
Yeah.
great for us. Um, do you wanna go for any songs you like in Homesick, and I'll add on if need be?
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest, I'm looking through it now, and there's only, like, 1 or 2 that I don't actually listen to regularly,
Yeah.
and the rest I listen to, it's like, it's I mean, I have a big Data Remember playlist, and I just shuffle all the albums.
Me too,
Um,
yeah.
and it's definitely a band where certain songs come on. Yeah, it's not the right feeling, it's not the right time. Skip, and it's completely different vibe, and it's exactly the vibe looking for. And Homesick album, it might not be my favorite, as you say, but it's definitely got a lot of songs that hit on different levels. Um,
Yes, 100%.
so I think personal favorites, Mr. Highway, thinking about the end,
Oh, well, okay, let's just talk
absolutely.
about that song. That song is disgusting. Like the intro, obviously, when we saw them the second time, they opened with that, and like
Mm.
you just amped. Like, obviously, it starts with just like a simple guitar chord playing, and then drops in with them drums. Everybody loses their fucking minds. It was so good, and obviously, you have the very famous "Disrespect Your Surroundings" drop,
Oh
which comes
god,
out of nowhere as well.
I think that was, other than Slipknot, which we'll talk about in a future episode.
Yeah,
That was probably one of the worst mosh pits I've been in
yeah,
with you, or
yeah,
at least times that I've been with you.
yeah.
I got fucked.
Yeah. Like that, I mean, I've watched so many like music like reactions on this song and people are like, yeah, this is really good. And then obviously then it just stops and drops into that and everyone's like, oh, and like even one of my favorite things that I do every time is during that breakdown, it has like the drum bit and then it goes diddling, diddling, ting, and then carries on with the drop.
Yeah,
Great
fucking
song.
good that is.
Um, any more, Ben, before I dive in? I've got a few stories with these songs, so
I mean, another highlight, obviously, if it means a lot to you, but I suspect that might be on your list.
yeah,
Uh,
it is. So Have Faith in Me is also another good one.
of course, yeah,
Homesick as well.
yeah.
And but a one that got me through quite a tough time, as we've discussed a few times on this, was another song about the weekend. I don't know why, but
Mm,
it had that kind of positivity injected into it.
yeah,
And just I used to try and listen to it to try and get myself to keep going. Um, I think it was also a time when I was looking for people who had faith in me. So obviously I know there is a song "Have Faith in Me," but there's the lyrics from another song about the weekend is it's something like I could see this is the first time you've had faith in me or something like that. I can't remember. I probably butchered it, but it just made me realize and remember that I do have people who are backing me. So it was one I used to play every so often to try and remember things are okay at the moment and there's people around. Um, Obviously, if it means a lot to you, is like every teenage to mid 20s depressed, heartbreak, lonely lovers song that everyone puts on after you've literally had an album that has just ripped hard as fuck. They absolutely like shred you down. Um, and it's again, it's one of their most famous songs. This was one of my ex-girlfriend's favorite songs as well. And she tried to make me duet with her, and I was like, "No, fuck yourself. This is me singing this. You can sing it on your own." Um, so yeah, there will be more mentioned of that particular ex with this band because she discovered it at the same time as me. Yeah, so you'll probably hear more about that ex-girlfriend, fortunately, unfortunately, because she
awesome.
discovered the band around the same time as me, so it was one of our common interests. So yeah, kind of moving on to that. Again, this album was one of the biggest albums I listened to when I first got into them, and that's the 2010 album "What Separates Me from You." Um, my ex girlfriend brought me this song on this album on CD um, because we love the band so much. So yeah, and again, it's a shorter album. I feel like trying to come off their popularity of Homesick only a year after they did pretty well. It's a very good album. It's probably one of my least listened to now, but it doesn't mean it's not a
Okay.
good album. Yeah. What about you? What's your thoughts on this?
I was gonna say it's once again it's one of the ones where if these songs pop up, I'm less likely to skip than most purely
Mhm.
because I mean there's definitely more. It might just looking at it now really more of a gym
Yes.
playlist album.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, other than Common Courtesy when I first got into them, the other song that I was introduced right after, so probably like the third or fourth Day to Remember song I ever listened to was Second Sucks.
Oof.
Um, and obviously being massive Mortal Kombat fans, as soon as I heard that bit, I was like, oh yeah, and then it fucking goes mad. It's
Again,
just
another
filled to the
one when you
brim.
see it live, you die. Like it's Mosh Central.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think it was when we saw them. Where did we see? Was it the O2?
No, it's the
Arena.
NEC or whatever it's called now. Yeah,
Yeah, the arena. Um, they had
yeah.
like the screens to the
The
left and right,
graphics.
which yeah, which and it wasn't it like it was ADTR, but then in the middle of all that, it had like Mortal Kombat
But
graphics
that
going
that
through
that
it.
that's based off the music video of it. So I watched the music video not long ago. Again, I was watching a
Never
music
actually seen
reaction
it.
on it. It's some kid playing like a Mortal Kombat arcade game type thing, but it's the band is their characters
Ah,
and
that's
they're
cool.
fighting like bosses and stuff. Yeah, no, it's a good video. But yeah, that song is by far the best song on that album. Um, it's a staple of their sets lists
Um,
as well.
yeah,
No,
it's
not
definitely
the
up
best on the
there.
album.
It's hard because
Depends
Movie
what mood
Tales,
you're in,
I'll be
maybe.
Sonic. Yeah,
I
no,
see.
definitely.
I'm not a huge fan of Hubie Tales. I'll be Sonic.
Really.
It's good, but it's one of my least favorites. I mean, if we go through some of the songs again, so story time again, Sticks and Bricks, you know what's coming.
Mm,
So obviously, when I was starting to listen to them, your ex girlfriend was around as at the time, and she was
uh,
like, "Oh yeah, I like a day to remember." I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool. Like, what ones are your recommendations? Like, what's the most popular?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah." And I had this album on my screen. She was like, "Yeah, Sticks and Bricks is like one of the most popular." I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, and I'll listen to it. It's great. It's one of my favorite songs, but it's not that popular. I mean, looking at the plays now, it's nowhere near one of their most popular. So
oh,
your
she
ex
just
girlfriend
chatted
chatted
shit.
shit, yeah, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's a good song. But I always just think back to, oh, it's supposed to be one of the most popular. Is it? Fuck, it's an amazing song, but it's not.
No,
It's not widely
yeah,
loved. Um, obviously you've got the classic "All I Want," which I said the music video is absolutely popping. Um, the lyrics to that song are so good. Again, it's another upbeat, inspirational one, which is great. Inspirational one. Again, I came on earlier on actually, and it was like a music volume up, sing that shit loud as you can. It's complicated is good. This is the house that Doubt built's good. Right, another story time. Better off this way. This is one of my favorite songs back when I first started listening to them. Like this one was like my most played for fucking ages. Um, and there was a friend of mine when I worked back in a bar who worked in the kitchen, and she loved Better Off This Way. So we bonded over a day to remember, and because of this song and other songs. But ironically, we don't talk anymore. And when I listen to this song, I'm like, yeah, I am better off this way without you. And it's kind of sad. Because I was really close with her and just drifted away, wasn't with. And again, when I was in my really rough spot, she was nowhere to be found. And I put this song on, and it used to really like tear jerk. Like I used to get really upset because it reminded me of that person, and now they're gone. But now I'm like, actually, yeah, I'm better off without you, so it's fine. So yeah, another story. As there'll be loads to come, and then we come to the pop punk anthem, and the theme of all pop punks is they hate this town. And that's also in all signs point to Lauderdale. And they played this at Reading, didn't they?
yeah.
And it was
Pretty
on our
sure they did.
wristbands as well, wasn't it? It had a Lauderdale sign on it.
Yes, it did. I
Because
must
you
have
almost
looked
got
at
it
that.
tattooed, didn't you?
Yeah, very tempted.
Yeah. And then again, at a time, and then If I Leave is also a very good one. Another one I will play every so often. It's a bit more of a feely one. Um, so yeah, that's the 2010. What separates me from you. Then we come on
This
to
is
the
when
big
we come
boy.
into it, really.
Yeah, this is where the big boy comes in. We jumped into A Day to Remember as this album had started circulating, um, and I mean it's the favorite album pedestal is quite a tough one for the fan base from what I've read. Um, but this one comes up quite a bit, and a lot of people
Mm,
almost say this is where they perfected their formula. And really enough is because they went and did like became went off and made their own record label. So they parted ways from their previous record label, did everything themselves, had their own studio, and we got Common Courtesy, which was released in 2013, which is just is one of the best albums. And I'm going to
yeah.
mention it quickly, and I know Ben, you've heard it a million times, and everybody who knows me knows I'm still very sour about this. As you can see, people on the video, I have Bad Vibrations, Homesick, and You're Welcome on vinyl. I did have Common Courtesy. Um, I brought
Yeah.
it for 20 quid, which for anyone who knows the band, common courtesy vinyls go for minimum £150. So I won it for a steal, and I don't have it anymore. I may or may not have left it at a different ex, because this is like we're talking when we first discovered them nearly 10 years ago, and it's potentially still there or it's been thrown away. I have no idea. I'm not going
That
to
shit's
talk
been
to.
burnt.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk anymore about it because I'm still very sour and I keep looking for a cheap one to replace it, but I can't.
Oh,
I can't put out 150 quid, even though I desperately want that vinyl back in my collection because it's one of my favorite albums. So yeah, a bit sour, but anyway, good memories, fun memories. Yeah, Ben,
wow.
tracks, memories. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of sad in this album.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of sad.
yeah, okay. Ben, you might as well go first. Bring us down.
Oh, goddamn. So this is obviously you and I put a lot of emotion into music, and we put a lot of feelings and memories into certain tracks, and those sort of songs or albums can define memories in a lot of
Mhm.
senses. And this is probably one of the deepest examples of that sort of manifesting with me. Uh, I was in a relationship with a girl for many years, and typical sort of high school relationship. I had to end it, um, but I wasn't going to be a bitch, so I walked up there myself, broke up with her,
Yeah.
um, sort of cried myself out, and then on the walk home, because it was about a 40-minute walk, um, I don't know, but the silence was getting to me, so I just pressed shuffle on my phone, and "End of Me" came on.
It's been playing ever since you started the story in my head.
Yeah. um, and I don't know what it is. I just broke down in tears in that moment, and that song has sort of defined that relationship for me. Super downer song, super sad song. Video is really good. Very much enjoyed the video.
Very good.
Um, but yeah, and it's a song that, as much as I love the band, and it is genuinely one of my favorite songs, and well, at least was prior to that, and still is, I guess. But for probably until like 3 or 4 years ago, wasn't able to listen to it at all without crying. Um, I mean, and that was 4 or 5 years after the breakup, so
Mm,
it,
yeah.
it hits deep, that song. I mean, I can listen to it now very fondly. Love the song, and it you know leave all that bit of shit behind and just focus on the good, and that's what this song sort of reminds me of now.
Did
So
they
it's
play it at Reading?
don't think they did.
They definitely played. Oh, it might have been I Surrender. They definitely played like an acousticy, heavier one. I can't remember if it was End of Me or I Surrender. Could be completely wrong. Um, yeah, it's a tough one. And to be
Yeah,
fair, I feel it. Um, as I said previously during this episode, me and my long-term ex from God, I don't know, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. Um, we listened to this album when it came out. It was an album that we both very much enjoyed, sang together. When we first got together, I used to pick her sister up from school, my younger sister, and she used to be like, "Oh, let me put something on," and she was obsessed with "I'm Already Gone," which in itself is already a heartbreaking song. But we all used to sing it together like car karaoke.
oh,
And I remember so vividly looking in the rearview mirror once and heard like just bopping along, singing like the final chorus. Um, and it's really sweet, but like it's quite sad at the same time. Like obviously that's a past that's now completely gone.
I
I
feel like
don't.
that's the evolution of like pop punk like
Yeah,
fans. It's if you go through the shit that they're talking about, you feel all of that absolute shit,
yeah,
and then you get past it. Then you have to reflect on it, and
yeah,
whether you choose to
absolutely.
reflect on it positively is up to you.
Yeah, and for a while, I I did not listen to this album. Well, some songs I was like, no,
Yeah,
no, thank you. I was like, I'm already gone. I surrender and end of me. We just straight up skip,
yeah.
forever skip. Um, and then like I said, I'm in a happy relationship. I'm moved on, obviously closure and all that. This album just brings back nice memories, and I can happily listen to these songs with or without that memory depends. Again, if I'm already gone comes on in the car, for example, I do tend to automatically look back in my wind mirror, which is quite review mirror, sorry, which is is it's kind of ingrained because it happened a few times
Yeah,
whilst we were driving to it. Um, but obviously, City of Ocala, or however you pronounce it, is again become one of my growing favorites at the moment. I
yeah,
loved it
definitely.
anyway, but like that harmony and chorus breakdown is so good. I love it. Obviously, like you said, right back at it again was the single that they released, and yeah, it's a great pop punk song. It's a great intro to A Day to Remember, I think.
Yeah, I think
Especially
that's why I
Common
was fortunate.
Courtesy. Yeah, especially Common Courtesy, like, I feel like that song is probably your best one to go into. Um, then you have the incredible "Sometimes You're the Hammer, Sometimes You're the Nail," which is so good, and like the meaning behind it, and the lyrics and the breakdown at the end, like God help those who help themselves and forget everyone else. Like so good, like that. I like when I hear that bit, I literally feel like the anger and frustration in that song.
There's just so
And
much
again,
emotion in his voice at that point, though. You can really feel it in that
this
breakdown.
is yeah, like discussing it now, like I I rarely no, to be fair, this album is always at my top, but I always think, oh, there are like albums that are quite close to it. But then when I listen to this album again, I'm like, nah, nah, this album is untouchable. Like it's so good, it's perfect. Like there's not a bad song on this album.
No,
Dead and Buried is great. Best of Me is another good one. We've obviously already spoke about I'm Already Gone, and I won't listen to it now for like another year. I'm kidding. Um, Violence, Enough is Enough is another heavy one. Like the thing is with this album is it's so well balanced between heavy pop punky and then your emotionally feels ones, and they're not all boxed in one part of the album. And I think that's what makes it flow so well is you just get a mixed bag as you go. It's a bit like a journey.
yeah,
Life at 11 is a great one. I Surrender actually helped me get over this X that I've been talking about. There's a bit where it says, "We'll count the days when we get by, so we'll get by." And I was like, "Yeah, I can get by. I can do this." Because she broke up with me, so obviously it was harder for me. But yeah, it was
yeah.
a very helpful song. Um, my number one played song of last year was "Life Lessons Learned the Hard Way."
Oh,
That
really?
that song is just fucking brutal. Like the breakdown and like I just keep talking about it. A Day to Remember are quite well known for their breakdowns. And Life Lessons one is so good. Like my car speaker in my previous car nearly like blown because I played it at max volume. Worth it. Um we won't talk about End of Me anymore.
No. Um,
Uh
I remember. That's an important one.
Yeah, we're coming up to that. So the document speaks for itself, and then we go into I Remember,
Oh,
which is
shit, yeah.
I think is a very underrated song. It's quite slept on, but from
Is
because
it?
I'm on a Day to Remember Reddit forums and stuff. Like it's a very loved song, but no one like speaks about it enough. And I was like,
Yeah, I
this
can
song
imagine
is
that.
so slept on, and it is like again, it's another inspirational one, and you've obviously got the tattoo, so if you want to go for it, like it's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those songs, I just A Day to Remember as a band, when they wanna go hard, they go fucking hard, and when they wanna break shit down, they break it down, but when they wanna slow it down and they can slow it down, but they can also find that middle ground where
Mm.
it's a good beat, it's an uplifting song, but it's still got that sort of gut-wrenching sort of
This is
message
like an
behind it.
anthem. This is like an
Yeah.
anthem song.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, to be honest, the it was I was at work when I think I first listened to this song.
Mm.
No, I couldn't have been at work. Um, no, maybe the first time I truly listened to the song when I was at work. Because I remember being sat in the office and I was working, and then it's just that one bit. It's in the hardest time to grow the most, and I just had a really fucking shit day. Some horrible things had happened, and I just burst into tears. But then, like a day later, I re-listened to the song, and it made me feel a whole different sort of emotion, and it motivated me quite a bit because it was like, you know what, I have grown because I've been through shit, and that's what made me who I am.
Mm.
Typical sort of thing, but it really sort of meant something to me at that moment. Um, so I got I got a photo up from Reading Festival, which is ruined by that gingerbird. um, and it was just a picture of the backdrop, like the art behind the band, while they're playing, and it's one of my favorite photos. It was my background for ages on my phone.
Yeah, it was.
Um, well, as you say, it's a old, or a album cover that changed or whatever, um,
So
and
it's
it's
Common
just
Courtesy's album, but they put the CC over as like a
yeah.
slip case. But then if you take it out on vinyl, it's that picture that
Oh,
you've
okay.
got.
That's really cool. But yeah, so it's just that. So it's the guy who's sort of facing the opposite direction, which is, I think he's on all of the album covers, or at least most of
He
them.
is, yeah, every single one.
Um, so I just got him tattooed on my arm, and with like scraps of paper going off around, and it's in the hardest time to grow the most.
It's a good tattoo, to be fair.
Really poorly done, and it has not held up against time. Um,
No.
but it was my first tattoo, and obviously I love tattoos, and I've always wanted one, so I thought my first one's got to be good. And I don't regret it. Um, it's it's going to stay with me for life, as to that quote and that song, really, and this
Mm.
band, hopefully.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I mean, again, I remember is one I listened to a lot. It would probably be my most played. However, for people who haven't listened to this album or song, um, this song is technically 9 minutes long because after about 3 or 4 minutes when the song's over, the rest it's because initially it was the final song. Um,
Yeah,
you just have the band talking about loads of memories, like I remember, and they're just like, "Oh, I remember when this, remember that." Like the first one they mention is they played a show of like 30, 40 people, and they heard that there was another band playing next door, so they just went and pretended to be that band and played another gig. So it's
yeah.
just like little anecdotes like that. It's really cool, actually. I remember once woke up like 3 or 4 in the morning, and I just put this album on, and I couldn't sleep, and then literally started falling asleep halfway through them talking about their stories. So yeah, again, another one
Well,
of
I've
just
got
memories.
yeah, very similar. I remember leaving my job at the nursery,
Mm,
and I put this song on for whatever reason, and usually, well, at that time, I'd usually skip this part, the talking section, just for the next song to bop to. But I can't remember why. Just must have been feeling it at the time. I really sat there and listened to it,
mm.
and I think it's a great addition to the song.
Yeah,
If it was
a lot
if
of
it was the
people
final
think that.
track, perfect. But obviously with changes and things, but even still, as a standalone song with that extra little bit, just great. It gives
Yeah,
gives a bit of personality to the song, and you know the band themselves. It gives you a bit of an insight into them, and I like that. Makes it
yeah.
all
No,
personal.
it's great. And to be fair, it's I don't know what edition it would be the last song on, but it initially was. But most pressing since there's 3 bonus tracks um that come as part of it, and I gotta say I'm glad they kept them on because them 3 bonus tracks are fucking great. Like
Mm,
they're they're I'd say they're better than some of the other songs on the album. But again, the album's perfect. But like Leave All the Lights On,
great
one of
track.
my favorite songs. Again, I didn't know they had 3 bonus tracks on this album when I initially got into A Day to Remember. And my ex showed them me. She was like, "Yeah, there's 3 more songs." I was like, "Wait, what? 3 more? Amazing!" Good Things is another great one. Then Same Book but Never the Same Page. Like all 3 of them are really good standalone songs. So I'm really glad they got to stay on the album. And something I've just forgotten to do actually. It was in between. It was in between Common Courtesy and What Separates Me from You is they did a little EP, and it has a great cover of Cable Car by The Fray or Over My Head.
Yeah, oh yeah, over my head. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's called Attack of the Killer B Sides is the EP.
Old
Then they
record
have
I've got here.
no that's the remix of the original album, and the name is
Oh,
Treason. Um, yeah, and then on the Attack of the Killer B sides, you also have a like Christmassy esque song they've got called Right Where You Want Me to Be, and again, that's one of my favorite songs. It is a holiday song, I suppose, but it's just a very good pop punk song as well. So if you've not heard that, people give that one a listen. It's a really good song. Again,
I,
a lot
I
of
love
people.
some. Carry on, sorry.
Yeah, no, the B sides are great.
I was just going to say Christmas songs. There's a few pop punk Christmas songs that I absolutely love.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Blink-182 have a few. It's like Boxing Day and, can't think of the one. Can't it's not coming to mind.
The Lone
No,
Atlantis one.
no, the other Blink-182 one. They have 2.
Do they?
Yes. I can't remember.
I don't know.
Which one of the latest one?
They literally did a Christmas song called, oh god, what is it called? Lone Atlantis. I think it's literally called Merry Christmas or something like that. It's
I can
great.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Kiss My Ass, yeah.
Is it?
No,
Yeah,
that's
that's the day. That's all time
All
low.
Time Low. That's All Time different band. Same vibe.
Yeah, we're going off track. So yeah, so obviously I got into this band in 2013, 14, and obviously as most fans are, once they've found a band, they're hungry for another album. And it was 3 painstaking years. And then I used to listen to Radio One with Zane Lowe again when I was at my ex's. Um, and he was like, "Oh, I've got a new song for you tonight by Day to Remember." I was like, "Wait, what?" And they dropped Paranoia, and obviously that's quite a heavy one. So
Yeah.
there was some big things coming our way, and I love Paranoia. I was very excited for this album, and we got to 2016's Bad Vibrations. Um, from what I gathered, this album's quite a divisive one. Like,
Really?
yeah, a lot of people are like, "Meh," and then a lot of people are like, "No, it's really good." I'm in the camp of it's one of my favorites, if I'm
I was gonna
honest.
say it is probably my favourite,
Yeah,
on
I
par with Common Courtesy.
yeah, it's up there. It's definitely up there. I mean, the title track "Bad Vibrations" is an absolutely incredible opener.
Yeah.
And obviously this was the tour we saw them on, so they played Bad Vibrations,
Mm,
played Paranoia, they played obviously some more as we'll go into. Um, their other single track was Naivety,
yeah.
and that's actually on, I wanna say Forza Horizon 3.
Is it?
It's on the playlist, and I used to bang that shit hard when I was playing
That's
Forza
cool.
Horizon 3. So yeah, that's a fun one to listen to. Then you've got my favorite of the album, Exposed, which again is another heavy one.
Yeah, I think this
One of
album
my
this
favorite.
album probably has the best example of their heaviness.
Yeah, they go heavy on this, like, and it's quite, like, throughout as well, like, it's rarely pulled away, bar 1 or 2, as we'll get into.
Yeah.
Bullfight's okay, that was another
I like
single of
Bullfight.
theirs. It's okay, I don't listen to it that much. Then you get the 1-2 punch of Reassemble and Justified, like,
Mm,
fuck me, them songs are emotional, like, again, when I was going through a very tough time, Reassemble was a very important song for me. It's all about, do you feel worthy? You've come undone. Um, you fall when you should be rising. And then obviously the other bits, the lyrics of what is it? This illness is my crutch. And I'm like, oh, like that hits home. Like, yeah, that's and then the last minute and a half where they just completely slow it down. It's almost like a funeral. Like it feels like they killed themselves in that song and it's just playing out as a funeral. But it bleeds perfectly into Justified, which then has another amazing song. But the ending, they played it, didn't they, when we went to see him? And it's like that little play, it almost like drones out, doesn't it, with the guitar?
yeah, I
So
do.
so good. Um, another story time. I mean, basically, a day to remember if we're selling it is heartbreaks and memories for me and Ben. Um,
Definitely.
we Got This was another song of mine and my ex's when this album came out because she'd moved away to go to uni, and so had I. And we're like, we got this, we got this. So we used to play this song to each other. We didn't got this at all. But again, it was another song we used to send each other every so often when things were tough. Um, so yeah, that's quite a good one. And then the last few, Same About You is quite good. Turn Off the Radio is quite. I always feel like that's like a very Foo Fighters esque vibe. I don't know why.
I see that
Um,
somewhat.
Forgive and Forget's a good one. And then again, two bonus tracks that I think are just implemented on. Oh, actually, no, I don't think they are implemented on CD and vinyl pressings. Is Negative Space, which is a very good one.
Yeah.
And then a really good upbeat song, which again I played a lot when I went there, is In Florida. Such a good song. Such an upbeat, feel good kind of. It sold Florida for me. Like I listened to that song whilst I was there, and I felt like it was quite a nice place.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely one of my favourite, tracks on the entire album, to be fair.
Yeah.
Is definitely up there. I mean, you have. I mean, could you definitively give it a favorite off this album? Really?
Song?
Yeah,
It depends on my mood. I mean, Bad Vibrations and Exposed are on my gym playlist, so they get quite a lot of airtime.
yeah,
But when I'm in the right mood, Reassemble.
yeah. See, I'd say Reassemble as pretty easy one for me. But then
Okay.
In Florida's quite close.
Yeah, I haven't played it in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, along with Bullfight, but I know you have mixed feelings about that one.
No, that's
But
fine. I
those
mean,
3.
to be fair, yeah, I'd say Bad Vibrations, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing title track.
Also, it just opens so well, like, the amp almost is sounding like it's been, like, tuned, and then you just
Yeah.
hear, like, that bass, like, it's almost like a one note of the bass just go boom as it kicks in, like, they know how to kick an album off, I'll give them that. They
I
rarely
think,
start
uh,
poorly.
as you said earlier, I think they're the best sort of bands to see live, purely because it's that different type of energy.
Mm.
Break I love a good breakdown in a car, but when the band's right in front of you and everyone else is just jumping, uh, to those breakdowns, it's just different. It's just that's the sort of festival music you want. Uh,
Yeah, and the
I
thing
think
is,
they
obviously,
encapsulate that.
when you break down in a car, I only you're appreciating it, but when you can see, like, thousands of other people who all feel the same way about this song, you're just like, "Yes, I like this is how it feels to appreciate a song."
Yeah,
And I get the same with the sad songs and stuff, like, obviously, they play some of the softer stuff. I think they normally 9 times out of 10 play, "If It Means a Lot to You." What other
yeah.
softer ones do they play? I know
Uh,
they play "I'm Already Gone" occasionally, but we never saw that
no,
live.
have faith in
Um,
me. They play. Or did you say
yeah,
that?
I think it's "Have Faith in Me." Uh, what else? They normally play 1 or 2 quite soft ones, and then they just rip it hard again. Um, Anything else on Bad Vibrations?
I think we've covered most of it. Naivety is a very good song.
Yes,
It's I feel like you glossed over that a bit, but
I did, yeah, my fault.
no, I think this once again, I have to say this is definitely on par with Common Courtesy, if not better. I guess it really just depends on what mood you're in.
I think for a lot of people, or maybe I'm just looking at it for you and me as a perspective, I think maybe we found more love for this because we got into them during Common Courtesy's era
Possibly.
and then worked our way back. But for people who started with For Those Who Have Heart or Homesick, that's what they knew. And obviously
Yeah.
Bad Vibrations is slightly different towards that kind of vibe. But I mean,
To be
go on.
Yeah, to be fair, I've never actually really thought about it from that perspective.
That's why I see a lot on like the subreddits and stuff and like YouTube comments. I think a lot of people who rate Homesick as a favorite is because they started with Homesick or came in at that time.
Yeah.
And then
But
I think, yeah,
even just wider, I'm more thinking that's a concept that I hadn't really sort of seen before. Um,
yeah. I'm trying to think of other bands. I mean, like Deftones. Yeah, I mean, to be fair with Deftones, even though they're all quite close in favorite album, my favorite is Diamond Eyes, and that's where I started. So maybe there is a bit of subconscious bias for whenever people say it's their favorite album is because they came in during that time.
yeah, but even if an album is similar to the sort of vibe or feel of the sort of where you began, so it's not too much of a left turn. That sort of impacting on your favorite band, because I can think someone who started with, I don't know, going to Deftones like White Pony, or someone who started with Kind of Yoke, and they all of a sudden have very different perspectives on the band
Yeah,
music,
yeah,
purely from starting at those 2 points. So something I haven't really thought about before.
yeah. And the thing with the day to remember, if you jumped into any album as your starting point, you'd have a different experience with each. You'd feel differently about each album. I think if someone jumped into Bad Vibrations and liked that instantly, would they like some of the other albums?
I think they'd struggle with
Probably,
Common Courtesy, maybe some of the slower
potentially,
stuff, because I think they'd be more
potentially.
used to that heavy.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is why I think as a entry point, Homesick and Common Courtesy are your best two. because you get a mix of what they predominantly are.
Yeah.
Which leads us to 2021, and we've spoke about music styles and falling in love with album after album. We get to You're Welcome, which was delayed for I think 2 years, maybe a year because of COVID and then other stuff apparently. Um, yeah, You're Welcome came out. I have it on vinyl. It came before I'd actually listened to the album because I pre-ordered it. Not gonna lie, if I had a choice, I probably wouldn't have pre-ordered it. It's not an absolute dog shit album. We'll get out of the way now. But I know a lot of fans, including myself, are extremely disappointed with this album, especially when you call it "You're Welcome," and a lot of people have made the joke, so I won't. But it's in the name really. To wait 5 years, and again, if people weren't a huge fan of Bad Vibrations, then obviously they're already left a bit sour. But for someone like you and me, Ben, where Bad Vibrations was great, and we were like, right, let's see what they do next. It was pretty disappointing. There's some good songs on here. I won't lie to you. There's about three that I rotate quite a bit. Um, but overall, it's a pretty disappointing album. The mixing on it's pretty shit. And I think that's partly fueled by Raymond, the record label. Like they're quite well known for making things quite pop punky and accessible, and that really comes across in this album, but
Yeah.
not pop punky. It's more pop, like
It's
without the
again
punk.
more mainstream album.
Yeah, like this is something you could literally shove on Radio One and it wouldn't miss a heartbeat.
And you know what? I had that fear before the album came out because they did a song with Marshmello, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
And I felt like, oh fuck, Day to Remember are going to be the next target, and are going to be just not to gatekeep or anything. It's nothing like gatekeeping. It's just
I
there's a
mean, they
certain
then, yeah.
th- there's a certain expectation of bands when they become more mainstream to sort of convert to more pop music.
I mean, your best example of this, where they're huge and mainstream, quote unquote, but are still, sticking to what is good, is Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah,
I know they did Ammo or however you pronounce it, which was quite a poppy album. But if you look at their latest releases and stuff, that ain't mainstream. They're huge and mainstream, and they're one of the biggest bands in the world. But they ain't changed their style to suit mainstream audiences. And I don't think A Day to Remember did this to win new audiences. Talking about growing up and stuff, but because these guys are obviously in their 40s now, and you get some of these songs. I think it's like Only Money and Everything We Need. They're about the fact that they've got kids and family, and things have changed for
which I
them.
don't, which I don't dislike, to be honest. I actually really liked Good Charlotte's album when they came back.
Yeah,
And that was, I mean, I can't remember. This is 40, I think, is the name of the song. Where they've basically taken the piss out of the fact that yeah, we're old. Um, we're not like skaters anymore. We're taking kids to school instead,
yeah.
and I liked that. It's I don't know. It's just this album
I think
didn't
also the difference
deliver.
between Good Charlotte and that I remember is Good Charlotte were always known as quite a feel good pop punky band.
Mm.
Whereas a Day to Remember, people wanted those breakdowns. They still wanted that hardcore stuff, and you only really get glimmers of it. I mean, let's get it out of the way. Last Chance to Dance is an absolute banger. It's probably everyone's favorite on that album. If you're a hardcore, like one of the metalcore side of A Day to Remember's fans, Last Chance to Dance is an amazing song. I won't dispute that. It's one of my favorites. It was played quite a bit last year. Um, Bar that, Brick Wall's okay, but the latter half of the song kind of I switch off. Um, Bloodsucker is another good one. I play quite a
Probably my
bit.
only one.
Yeah, I play that quite a bit. Again, the chorus is quite meaty. It's got quite a good bass in it. I like that song. And then FYM. My girlfriend loves that song, so that gets played quite a lot. And I'm not gonna lie, I sing along to it. I like the kind of cheesy, kind of pop punky vibe to it. But that's where it really stops for me. Everything We Need was good when it first came out, but I don't. It's a bit like If It Means a Lot to You. I don't listen to it a lot because it's a certain vibe. So yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So with You're Welcome. I think there might be an audience for it. Again, maybe more pop radio friendly people might like it. There's a few good ones, as we said. Don't get me wrong. I'd like. I'll still go and see them live. It doesn't mean I dislike the band. I'll just go and listen to their other stuff. And then three that we've mentioned slip in there quite nicely.
Yeah,
Nice few additions. Um, I hope they come back and do another album soon. If they carry on this route, that's fine. Let them carry on. But I will probably slowly dip out if they carry on this route. There was just nothing that really interests me bar three songs, as we've said. So, um, yeah, we'll be treading the same ground as many fans will probably be saying about You're Welcome. But do you want to say anything overall about Day to Remember before we call it a day?
I think they're just one of those bands that it's very much they can be different moods. You can be sad and they can bang, or you can be really pissed off and it can be bang, or you can be at the gym, whatever the sort of situation. There's always a song to fit, and I think they've had a real good impact on the wider pop punk community. I think
I
Neck
think
Deep
so.
wouldn't be what they are today if it wasn't for Jeremy. For those who don't know, they signed um, Neck Deep before the album
Life's
Life's
made
About
to
to
get
Get
you.
You. So, and that's sort of where they came into their own, really. So I think they've done a lot for the community as a whole. Um, but yeah, if anyone ever gets a chance to see them live, be one of the best gigs that you'll see, really. So yeah, just an awesome band at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you've probably heard through this, we could have carried on for much more, but this band has a lot of memories towards
Mm.
to us. Jesus, it's a day to remember. They do this to me. Um, yeah, there's a lot of past memories, but it's not been stuck in the past. It's just reminding us about the good times. And like I said, some of the songs have got new memories to them. Um, and like Ben said, they're an amazing band to watch live. F- I think for most people who haven't listened to them, give Homesick or Common Courtesy a go. And if you find they're your kind of bread and butter, I'd carry on and explore a bit more. And before we go, actually, Ben, do you want to rank the albums? I know a lot of people find that very interesting.
Oh, let's get them up. Top or bottom start.
Start from the bottom.
Okay, so I mean, I'm going to start with You're Welcome, really.
Hmm.
Um, then are we counting for for those who have hearts and their names, trees are the same? So
No,
that would
no,
no, separately.
no. Hmm.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So yeah, so You're Welcome, probably, and their name was treason. For those who have hearts, then what separates me? Homesick, common courtesy, bad vibrations.
Okay. Um,
Top two,
mine's
top two interchangeable.
Mine's basically the same, but Common Courtesy is cemented number one. Bad Vibrations is number two. But you literally said the exact same order for me. I will say though, disclaimer wise, it's tier system. It's like you're welcome. Then and the name was treason for those who have heart, and what separates me from you are like
Yeah,
high tier. Then homesick and bad vibrations are like god tier, and then common courtesy is like legendary legacy. Like it's its own tier.
yeah. So You're Welcome's in like the C rank, and the rest are probably like AS rank. So it's like it's a close
Yeah, like
battle
it's
for
hard to kind of
yeah. That's it at the end of
yeah.
the
I
day.
think again, it just it's all about where we came into the fold. Um, but yeah, I hope people have enjoyed today. Go and listen to A Day to Remember. Let us know your favorite songs, your favorite album. As we've said, favorite albums for this band is anything and everything. Probably by You're Welcome. And hopefully we'll hear more of the band soon. And I'd love to see them again. So yeah, thank you
Definitely.
for listening, everyone, and take it easy.